Dear Leo, radiant heart of the zodiac, bold soul of divine fire, welcome. If you're hearing this right now, it's not random. The universe does not make mistakes. Between August 5th and 6th, a once-in-a-lifetime portal is open, the final prophetic window of this cosmic season, and it is calling your name with purpose. This message is not entertainment. It's a transmission, a spiritual roadmap, and an energetic turning point. You've arrived here because on some deeper level, your soul is ready for a leap. The final wave of luck, money, and power is forming on the horizon, and this video will help you ride it instead of being swept beneath it. Ask yourself this: what if everything you felt building, the pressure, the pull, the fatigue with the old, isn't burnout, but birth? What if you're not breaking down, but breaking free? Leo, your solar essence was never meant to shrink or fit inside outdated roles. But to walk through this door, you must leave behind the version of yourself that was built for survival and step into the one designed for sovereignty. This is a cosmic rite of passage. Right now, the sun, your ruling light, is crossing powerful alignments with Uranus, the disruptor, and Neptune, the spiritual visionary. This isn't just astrological news. It's divine choreography. These 2 days are not just dates on a calendar, they are destiny codes, and the choices you make within them ripple into years ahead. If you've been feeling the shift, restless in your routines, emotionally distant from your old goals, or torn between two paths, that's not confusion. That's a timeline bifurcation. The universe is inviting you to step into the higher version of your life, but only if you're willing to release what no longer resonates with your light. Let's get honest. Are you tired of playing small for the comfort of others? Are you done dimming your truth just to stay acceptable? This is the moment to trade familiarity for alignment. The moment to remember that you don't have to beg the world for your worth. You are the fire. You are the royalty. You are the prophecy. And before we continue, let me take a moment to offer my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every time you choose to show up, to like, comment, or subscribe, you're not just supporting this channel, you're anchoring yourself deeper into the eternal mindfulness community. This space exists to awaken your divine remembering. And truly, your energy helps carry these messages to others who are waiting to hear them too. So thank you, not just for being here, but for being open. Stay with me until the very last second of this message, because what the universe is revealing to you in this moment is not only timely, it's sacred. There are things unfolding in the unseen that your conscious mind is just beginning to catch up to, and when you understand them, you'll never go back to doubting your power again. Now, tell me in the comments, what part of your soul guided you here today? Right, I am ready to step into my new timeline, to confirm your alignment with the energy that's arriving. Let's begin. There is so much ahead that your soul has been waiting to hear. When the sun, your ruling celestial force, forms an exact energetic chord with Uranus and Neptune, something rare begins to happen, not just in the sky, but within your internal cosmos. Uranus doesn't ask politely. It disrupts, jolts, reroutes. Neptune doesn't speak loudly. It whispers through dreams, softens the boundaries between what you see and what you sense. And the sun, that steady flame of your identity, sits right between them, illuminating the space where the known and unknown converge. This is more than a forecast. It's a moment of truth. What you feel now as restlessness, boredom, or even quiet grief is not random. It is sacred discomfort. It's the sacred unease of a soul who is outgrowing its current shell. Like a snake who has become too large for the skin it once called home, you may find yourself moving through life with a kind of friction. Things that used to fit, no longer do. The spaces, the roles, the labels, the goals, they feel too tight. That's not failure. That's your soul tapping the walls of its old form, preparing to shed it. This planetary alignment is what astrologers call a timeline bifurcation, a split in possibility. Two futures stretch before you. One keeps you safe, predictable, recognized. The other is unknown, uncomfortable, but electrified with potential. At this fork, you are not asked to make a quick decision. You are invited to look honestly at the story you've been living. Not the one you post about. The one you carry in your breath, your posture, your habits. The one you recite unconsciously each morning when you remember who you're supposed to be. We are taught to hold tightly to identity. To keep proving our worth through what we do, what we own, who we impress. But there comes a point when that structure, no matter how polished, begins to dim the inner flame. The smile becomes a mask. The titles become cages. And the light you shine is no longer yours, it is a reflection of others' expectations bouncing off the surface of your spirit. So pause here. Ask gently, whose life have I been performing? Whose vision of success have I been chasing? What parts of me are exhausted from holding up a version of myself that no longer feels true? This moment is not asking you to burn it all down. It's simply offering you a mirror. A cosmic chance to witness where the soul has outgrown the scaffolding of ego, of duty, of scripted ambition. And like the snake, you are not being punished when the skin cracks. You are being called to surrender to the natural process of evolution. Because stagnation is not safety, it is spiritual suffocation. In ancient teachings, it is said that the greatest liberation comes not from chasing more, but from releasing what is no longer yours to carry. When you let go of roles that no longer reflect your truth, you don't become less, you finally make space to become more. And just like the sun, you are not meant to dim yourself to warm others in ways that burn your own joy. You are here to radiate as you are, not as you were taught to be. So if you've been feeling the pressure to change, to shift, to rise, trust that. You're not broken. You're simply at a cosmic threshold. Let the stars speak through your intuition. Let discomfort guide you inward, not into fear, but into awareness. And let this moment, this rare, divine intersection of celestial power be your invitation to reclaim the timeline that was always meant for you. If you've been feeling like the ground beneath you is shifting, like doors you once trusted have quietly closed, or like certain relationships are dissolving without clear explanation, I want you to take a deep breath with me right now and trust this. What looks like loss is often the rearrangement of your life into divine order. You are not being rejected, abandoned, or forgotten. You are being cleared. In the days of August 5th and 6th, the wave you've been sensing is arriving. But here's the part most people miss. That wave doesn't look like a golden chariot of instant miracles. It often comes wrapped in disruption. A plan you counted on falls through. A person you thought would stay suddenly goes silent. A dream you held close begins to feel heavy in your chest. And yet beneath that collapse is a recalibration. The universe is not breaking you. It's loosening what no longer aligns with where your soul is trying to go. There's a concept in sacred philosophies that when something leaves your life abruptly, it's not because it was wrong but because it was complete. And clinging to what has served its purpose is like trying to carry a boat across dry land. You don't need to throw away your memories, your effort, or your love. You just need to loosen your grip. Let go, not with bitterness, but with grace. Because in the space of letting go, new frequencies can finally arrive. The law of attraction teaches that we don't receive based on what we want, we receive based on what we're ready to hold. If your hands are full of the past, how can you catch the present? If your mind is circling old identities, how can your heart recognize the new path opening right in front of you? This wave that's approaching, it's not just about luck in a superficial sense. It's the energetic current of right timing, soul-aligned opportunity, and internal expansion. But it only carries those who are willing to be light in their attachment, light in their resistance, light in their emotional baggage. To ride this wave is not to chase it. It is to surrender your weight so that it lifts you. If something has fallen apart for you recently, ask yourself, what did I believe I needed that perhaps I was only tolerating? What version of myself was being fed in that job, that relationship, that pattern, and is that still who I want to be? This kind of questioning is not self-punishment. It is self-liberation. You don't have to force clarity. Just become still enough to notice what's already shifting. Instead of fixing, controlling, or overanalyzing the change, practice allowing it. You can begin simply. Each morning for the next 2 days, give yourself 5 minutes. Just sit, breathe, and ask, what wants to leave me? Write down what comes. You don't have to act immediately. Awareness is enough to begin the release. Avoid the voices, inner or outer, that feed fear. If a conversation drains you or triggers judgment, step away with love. Honor your nervous system like sacred ground. You are not in a time of proving, you are in a time of peeling back. So I invite you now to feel into this question deeply. Are you willing to release the image of yourself you've been protecting, so that you can return to the truth of who you are beneath it all? Because only the unburdened can float. Only the unguarded can be touched by grace. And only those who make peace with the unraveling can ride the wave that's arriving. Let this be your moment not to hold on tighter, but to let go with courage. What's coming next wasn't meant to find the old you. It was always meant for the you that's now becoming visible. There are moments when life quiets just enough for something unexpected to reach you, a line from a stranger, a phrase in a song, a number you keep seeing, a dream so vivid you wake up feeling like you've returned from someplace real. These are not accidents. They are echoes. And if you felt them lately, it's because a part of you, a future version of you, is reaching back across time, trying to be remembered. Right now, the planetary conversation between Uranus and Neptune is forming a rare energetic window. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It hums beneath the surface of your awareness. Uranus awakens. Neptune dissolves illusion. Together, they open what I often call a memory portal, not of the past, but of what already exists in your potential. You see, the future is not something you chase. It's something you remember. Somewhere inside you is the version of yourself who has already walked the path ahead. The one who chose courage when comfort begged you to stay. The one who said yes to the whisper when everyone else needed proof. That version is not far. It lives in a frequency just beyond your current resistance, and during this window, the veil between you and that version grows thin. When you feel déjà vu or receive an insight so clear it didn't feel like thinking, that's not coincidence. That's alignment. Imagine for a moment that your soul is like a radio. The frequencies are always being broadcast, but whether or not you hear them depends on how you tune. And this tuning doesn't require effort. It requires stillness. You won't catch a transmission from your higher self when your mind is cluttered with noise, social opinions, internal doubt, urgency that doesn't belong to you. To hear it, you must lower the volume of everything else. Sometimes, silence is not the absence of sound, but the space where truth reintroduces itself. Over the next 2 days, I encourage you to become a gentle observer. Notice what repeats. Numbers, names, colors, phrases, especially if they arrive softly but leave you deeply stirred. Keep a pen nearby. Write even what seems irrelevant. Often, the mind will dismiss what the soul is trying to encode. But in writing, in reflecting, in revisiting later, the meaning becomes clearer. Think of it not as decoding a mystery, but as letting a message unfold in layers, each one meant for the level you are ready to receive. You might also ask quietly and openly what your future self is trying to say. Not in desperation, but in curiosity. Ask before sleep. Ask while walking. Ask when you're brushing your teeth. You'd be surprised when and how the answer arrives. Not everything speaks in lightning bolts. Some truths arrive like morning light, unnoticed until they've already warmed the room. The version of you who made it, who healed, who trusted, who created is not waiting on some distant shore. They are simply standing on the other side of your willingness. And if you give yourself space, if you allow the invisible to become feelable, you'll notice something surprising. The wisdom you seek isn't outside of you. It's been quietly living in you all along. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before you forgot. And in that remembering, something unlocks. Choices become clear. Timing aligns. And suddenly, life starts responding not to your fears, but to your knowing. So soften your attention, clear the static, and tune in. The message has already been sent. Now the only question left is, will you make space to receive it? There's a strange beauty to the way the universe delivers what we've asked for. It rarely arrives wrapped in the packaging we imagined. More often, it shows up late, through a back door we never noticed, in a moment when we feel least prepared. But that's the paradox of alignment. It doesn't wait for convenience, it arrives in truth. And if you've been wondering when your breakthrough will come, it may already be on its way, just not in the costume you were expecting. Over the next 2 days, a soul-aligned opportunity may enter your life disguised as disruption, as timing gone wrong, or as something too small to matter. It might require you to cancel something important. To choose stillness when the world demands motion. To say yes to something that terrifies and excites you in the same breath. And this is why presence matters more than prediction. Because when destiny knocks, it often speaks softly, not to test your hearing, but to test your attention. You'll know this moment not because it fits your plan, but because it shakes your energy. It stirs something ancient and quiet inside you. A deep pulse of recognition, not from logic, but from resonance. You won't be able to explain it clearly to anyone, and you might even second guess yourself, but your body will respond before your mind has words. Your heart rate might change. Your thoughts might quiet. And somewhere deep in your gut, there will be that feeling, this is it. But here's the part we forget: opportunity doesn't always come gift-wrapped in certainty. Sometimes it arrives as a question. Are you willing to leave the script? Are you ready to shift plans to honor the unexpected? Can you trade the illusion of control for the power of alignment? The law of attraction reminds us that our reality forms not from our desires alone, but from the frequency we hold in the moment we meet the unknown. So the question isn't whether the right opportunity will find you, it will. The question is, what version of you will it find? If you meet it with fear, you may shrink back into the known. If you meet it with presence, you may recognize it as the door that was always waiting to open. Sometimes the right path begins with an inconvenience. The missed train. The detour. The stranger who says something that jolts you awake. Other times, it arrives through someone younger, or less experienced, or not at all what you expected. But the truth isn't in the appearance, it's in the energy. You don't have to chase it. You just have to notice it. And choose it, especially if it doesn't make sense yet. There's a kind of knowing that lives beneath logic. It's the knowing that can't be taught, only remembered. And in moments like these, remembering becomes the doorway to receiving. That is how your timeline shifts, not by force, but by resonance. And you shift with it not by knowing what's next, but by trusting the vibration that invites you into what's possible. So here's your question: are you brave enough to say yes to what doesn't look like the plan, but feels like the path? Because what's coming for you isn't what you expected, it's better. And it's already on the way. You just have to be available for it, not in your schedule, but in your presence. Because some doors don't wait. They open once. And only for those willing to walk through them before they're certain where they lead. There is always a moment, just before the breakthrough, when everything seems to shake. The timing feels off. The people you trust seem distant. Plans you were certain of begin to crumble. And though your logical mind may scramble for answers, your deeper self recognizes the truth: this is not chaos. This is calibration. When the universe prepares to elevate you, it doesn't always whisper, sometimes it roars. Not to scare you, but to strip away anything that cannot rise with you. This is what many call a spiritual earthquake. But in reality, it's a stability check. Not of your outer world, but of your inner one. It is the moment when life asks, are you rooted in truth, or only in conditions that feel safe? It may look like being misunderstood by someone you love. It may feel like being alone in a room full of people. It might even be the silence that follows a conversation you didn't expect to end. These aren't signs that something's gone wrong. They're signs that your energy is being tested for resilience, clarity, and alignment. Because before any quantum leap, there is always a pause, a rattle in the foundation, not to punish, but to prepare. Think of yourself as a seed. Until the outer shell cracks, the inner potential can't emerge. From the outside, that cracking looks destructive. But from within, it's freedom. The conditions around you right now are cracking open parts of you that have been tightly held: patterns of control, fear of judgment, attachments to how life was supposed to unfold. And though it may feel uncomfortable, even disorienting, this is where transformation begins. When pressure builds, you have two choices. You can fall into the gravity of your old responses, react, retreat, overanalyze, tighten your grip. Or, you can soften into presence. You can pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what is this moment showing me about myself? Not what I've lost, but what I've outgrown. In moments like these, the energy you hold matters more than any decision you make. And sometimes, the most powerful action is non-action, the ability to sit with discomfort without needing to fix it right away. To allow the discomfort to show you what's shifting beneath the surface. This is where self-care becomes a sacred tool. In the next 2 days, minimize stimulation. Skip the caffeine. Choose warmth, warm food, warm tea, warm environments. Sound can be medicine too. Listening to 528 Hz, the frequency of healing and love, can help regulate your nervous system. Avoid making big decisions until your emotional waters feel calm again. Clarity never comes from pressure. It comes from stillness. It's easy to stay centered when things are smooth. The real strength lies in staying soft in the storm. And if you can remain grounded now, if you can respond to disruption not with fear but with quiet trust, you activate something extraordinary. A shift. A jump. A realignment that moves you into the timeline your soul has been waiting for. Not everything that challenges you is trying to harm you. Some storms don't come to destroy. They come to cleanse. And if you meet the shaking with grace, you'll find yourself standing on stronger ground than you've ever known. So take this time not as a setback, but as a sacred test, not of your worth, but of your readiness. Because the next version of your life isn't just arriving. It's watching how you meet this one. And if you meet it with presence, with courage, with unwavering peace, the path ahead will open like a flower blooming under pressure, not in resistance, but in surrender. So now, Leo, after all we've explored together, the revelations, the realignments, the invitations, I hope you can feel it, something deep inside you has already shifted. Even if nothing in your outer world has changed just yet, your frequency has. Because the moment you choose awareness over autopilot, presence over performance, and alignment over old attachments, the path ahead starts to reshape itself in response. This final prophetic window, open only from August 5th to 6th, is not just a date, it is a living doorway. One that will not stay open forever, but one that, when entered with trust and clarity, will alter the very fabric of your timeline. The wave of wealth, power, vitality, it's not reserved for the lucky, or the loudest, or those with perfect plans. It's reserved for those who are willing to be honest. Willing to release what's no longer true. Willing to say yes to the next version of themselves, even if it means letting go of who they were celebrated for being. You don't need anyone's permission to evolve. You don't need a sign louder than the one already pulsing in your chest. You don't even need to have it all figured out. You just need to listen and respond. Because this isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the truth that was always there, waiting for you to stop shrinking into expectations that were never yours to hold. So I'll ask you gently but directly, what are you still clinging to out of habit that no longer brings you peace? What would happen if you stopped trying to fit the image of who you used to be and simply showed up as who you actually are today? What if this wasn't the end of anything, but the moment your real life finally begins? I want you to carry this one truth with you as we close. The life that matches your soul, the one that feels not just impressive, but deeply real, doesn't ask you to prove yourself. It asks you to come home to yourself. And the door to that home is open right now. So if this message resonated with you, I invite you to pause and declare it aloud or comment below. I am ready to receive my destiny. Let this affirmation anchor your alignment. Let it ripple out into the energetic field that is already responding to your readiness. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness and turn on notifications, because in just a few days, we'll be unveiling a powerful next message, including a millionaire timeline activation that could redefine the direction of your journey. Thank you, deeply, for sharing this moment with me. Your presence here matters. Your light matters. And I truly hope you stay, because what's coming next isn't just beautiful, it's yours.